They had major dental surgery that they could not afford. They're in the dentist's office. They're hysterics because they can't afford it. Who else was in that dentist's office that saw this and paid for the whole thing? Whitney Houston.
Wow.
Got chills watching this.
What an angel.
Unbelievable.
So nice.
This story could have been literally from 10 years ago that he told Jennifer Hudson, but I happened to see it yesterday.
That's amazing.
Unbelievable.
I love when people do that too, and they just do it out of the kindness of their heart, not for the notoriety.
Yeah, he wasn't famous at that point.
Yes.
Not that he wouldn't have needed the money if he was at the level he's at now. He's got Netflix specials, movies, everything. He's huge, Bert Kreischer. But yeah, amazing.
That's one of my favorite things about Shaq, how he will just go into stores and buy computers for people or pick up the tab, and he's not looking for
Isn't
anything.
that the Kurt Warner move in St. Louis? Don't he and his
Kurt
wife
Warner
just
will
pay
do
for the
that a
whole
lot.
restaurant?
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, Cece said he's going to start doing that. So if you see him out in the city, he's just...
Let me tell you what's not going to happen. That part. If I see you out in the city and you want to pay me,
You want to pay for
you want to pay for my meal.
You want to be the Bert Kreischer in this
Yeah,
case.
exactly. I mean, I am the resident Super Bowl champ.
So pay for me? Is that what you're saying?
Exactly.
The anti-charity? You
Yeah.
are the charity in this
Honestly,
case.
it's the least football fans in New York could do for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't
exactly.
feed into this.
Small
He
town
actually
wrong.
has a
It's been a
charity.
while. No.
Chris Canty Foundation. Go there. Not to his wallet.
That's all well and good, but if you see me out at
God.
dinner and you want to pay for my meal, just know that I would appreciate it.
Yeah, it's all well and good that he and his wife and his family are doing great things for people in need and children, etc. But
Yeah.
he would love a lobster with a little truffle sauce on it at a
I'm
nice
more of an Alaskan king crab legs guy.
Sorry.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
Anyway.
So if they're seeing you and they're trying to say what's up, pay for the bill.
There you go.
If this works, this is going to be really frustrating.
Why?
Because I'm jealous. All right.
Hate.
Jimmy Haslam,
Resident
who
hater.
owns the Cleveland Browns, and he's a minority governor in the Milwaukee Bucks as well. Yesterday, he and his wife Dee, the co-owners of the team, held a press conference in Cleveland, kind of a catch-up with the media and fans, etc., and was asked about whose call it was to draft Shedeur Sanders.
We had a conversation early that morning, and then we had a conversation later that day. I think we had the right people involved in the conversation. At the end of the day, that's Andrew Berry's call. Andrew made the call to pick Shedeur. Just like who's going to start or what play we're going to call is Kevin's call. But that's Andrew's call. He made the call.
Okay, Andrew's call, he made the call. Everybody's taking this as, uh-oh, he's wiping his hands clean of Shedeur Sanders, and he's putting Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry on notice. Is that how you guys took this?
Yeah. My initial impression was that the Deshaun Watson decision was a collaborative between ownership, the general manager, and the head coach, and that was a swing and a miss. I have now delegated that responsibility to my general manager and the head coach, and it's up to them to dig us out of this hole that we created by putting our franchise in quarterback purgatory. So the onus is on them to figure this thing out. I have removed myself from this situation. I have given them the autonomy to make the difficult football decisions, including passing on quarterbacks at the top of this year's draft, including passing on Travis Hunter at the top of this year's draft, who he mentioned as a good football player and thinks he's going to be a good pro, trading back, acquiring more draft picks, and then, oh, by the way, drafting 2 quarterbacks in the middle rounds. He has put the onus on his front office, on his head coach, in order to figure out the riddle that has been quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. Now it's up to them to show and prove. That's what I took away from Jimmy Haslam's comments.
That's how I interpreted it as well. He's sitting there saying, on its face, you can say he's saying, I'm letting football people make football decisions.
No doubt.
Which is what we always preach that owners should do. He's saying, this is an Andrew Berry call. Essentially, I trust him to make these decisions. That's why he's in my employ. But also, make no mistake about it, it's his name assigned to this. And I'm going to let you know that it's his name assigned to this. That I'm letting him make these decisions, and if it fails, that's who we're going to point to.
I think the Cleveland Browns have actually done so many things that if they were wearing a different uniform, we'd consider it really smart. Think about this for a second. You have the owner of a team saying, I'm not a football person anymore, because I do believe that he made the Deshaun Watson decision. And thus, I'm going to allow for the general manager and the coach to make decisions because they're football people. In addition, I think they're smart moves. They doubled down on Myles Garrett. That's smart. Double down by way of money, as well as we're going to bring in Mason Graham to play next to you from Michigan, who's only going to help you. They doubled down.
So you thought that was the right move?
Here we go. Here's
Okay,
why.
all right.
Here's what. They doubled down on Myles Garrett 2 ways. They doubled down on next year's draft, which is a quarterback draft, by getting their pick and the Jaguars' pick. They doubled down on the idea of doubling their chances of finding a diamond in the rough with 2 mid-round quarterbacks. One of them who slipped there in Shedeur Sanders, the other Dillon Gabriel. I think if the Cleveland Browns were wearing a different uniform and we had no preconceived negative notions about them, we would actually look at a lot of their decisions as intelligent this offseason. They don't think they're winning the Super Bowl. They probably don't even think they're going to make the playoffs. What they're doing is they have given themselves an opportunity to be really good for a really long time if Shedeur or Dillon Gabriel are good, because next year, having the 2 picks to do one of 2 ways, just taking them around them, or as you have said, CC, bait a team that desperately needs a quarterback to give you 2 picks each of the next 2 or 3 years, and you're set up for success. And what he said about Shedeur, now I don't like the owners commenting on the drafting of the player. I think that gets weird, but letting the football people...
Did it, though.
Yeah, he did it. He did it. No question. Letting the football people make the football decisions, I think it's pretty damn smart now. It wasn't then.
I want to ask you something, because he did talk about the Arch Manning rumors, and he thought they were ridiculous. Do we have that sound?
I don't have that in front of me right this second.
Okay, but he did, and I'll just paraphrase here. But he said that he believes that Arch Manning is going to stay in school a couple of years.
Yeah.
So it's ridiculous to be presumptive in the way of assuming that they're trying to wait it out for Arch Manning. It got me to wondering, because a lot of times we talk about franchises not being ready to develop a young quarterback. Could we be in a scenario where the runway for the young quarterbacks for the Cleveland Browns is longer than we think it is? Could we be in a situation where Cleveland is looking at this thing and saying, hey, we'll give these guys a couple of years to figure out whether or not they can be our guy?
Love it.
We have the draft capital. Even if we have a top pick, we can always trade out for a team that's quarterback starved to move up, and we can kick the can to 2027 when we have Arch Manning. Because of the ties to Tennessee and the Manning family, if Jimmy Haslam was going to take a big swing on a quarterback in the draft, it seems like it would be more apt, given his relationships, that he would wait a couple of years until Arch Manning decided to come out versus grabbing a quarterback next year. So I'm just wondering.
And isn't that smart?
It's smart, but I'm just wondering.
1-2 punch for the first 2 segments. Buckle up. I think he's going to be in for some good tunes today.
Well, as the punk rock band Newfound Glory once said, all downhill from here, because Pat's only going to screw it up now. Because how can you get better than those 2?
I don't know. Let's see if he can do it.
All right. Anyway.
Good points by me, too. Yeah.
So we were talking about the Dallas Cowboys, and Stephen Jones, the Cowboys executive vice president, went on 105.3 The Fan in Dallas and was asked about whether or not they do what we have suggested that they do and drag out deals for the marketing and the attention on purpose.
Well, let's just start off. We don't agree on that. We don't drag deals out. We do deals when there's an opportunity to do a deal. And certainly no one knows what goes on internally with a particular negotiation, but sometimes agents and players aren't ready to pull the trigger till they see other cards play. And what we're not going to do is go out and do something that's not responsible in terms of just in the name of getting a deal done 1 month earlier. Go do it and pay the guy another $5 million of your cap space.
Yeah.
And especially when you're dealing, in our particular case, internally with guys that are homegrown here, and we feel like they want to be here. I always felt like Dak wanted to be here. I always felt like CD wanted to be here.
I guess there's so much information that's out there. Adam Schefter was reporting, this morning. He was talking about maybe Micah felt like a deal was close, and maybe you guys felt like a deal wasn't close. I think that's what Adam Schefter said this morning. And then the progress stopped, and Micah's like, well, call me, right? And I'm like, well, why would they not just get this thing done if Micah really wants to be here? And I guess one is that he would have to take significantly less than market value for you guys to want to do that contract with him now. And the other would be, it is probably tens of millions of dollars in free brand awareness.
A lot of the things you just said are mostly inaccurate.
Okay. How so?
I'm not going to get into the details of a negotiation, but I'm just saying 90% of what you just said is inaccurate.
Smallsy, your reaction?
Feels like stuff that we talk about a lot, no? About the attention, Adam Schefter on our show. That's very interesting. For Stephen Jones to say we don't drag contracts out, show me. Show me the evidence. Because I'm looking at what's happening currently with Micah Parsons. I can harken back to last year with CeeDee Lamb. Oh, and another example, Dak Prescott. What about Zach Martin? It seems like this is a pattern with you and your organization. I don't think this is something that people are pulling out of thin air. And so if you're going to negate that, give us concrete examples of your stars and big contracts and you not dragging these deals out.
Well, yeah, he's contradicting what his dad said last week, which is they've had concerns where they've paid guys too early and it not worked out, i.e. Terrence Steele and Trayvon Diggs. So when it comes to the protracted negotiations between the Cowboys and Micah, is it that the player and his agent are dragging it out, or the Cowboys want to see a few more cards played, as Jerry Jones said last week, before they make that decision? Which one is it? Because it can't be both. And it sounds like Stephen Jones is trying to put the genie back in the lamp when it comes to the perception around why this negotiation has taken too long and whose fault or who's to blame for this. I have a hard time believing that the Dallas Cowboys, whether it was last offseason, whether it's this offseason, made Micah Parsons an offer to be the highest paid non-quarterback in football that he did not accept. I do not believe that. They could have done it last year. Justin Jefferson, $35 million a year. They could have came in at 35 and a half. Deal would have been done. That did not happen. Fast forward to the beginning of this offseason. They had the same opportunity before all of these other contracts went. Before Myles Garrett got done, before Max Crosby got done, before Jamar Chase got done, before TJ Watt got done. And they chose to wait. By waiting, they cost themselves $6-7 million a year on a Micah extension. If you want to talk about being irresponsible, Stephen Jones, that's irresponsible. Unless the arbitrage between what you could have paid him last offseason and what you'll eventually pay him before the start of this season is just a part of a marketing budget.
Which he denied. He flat out denied. But here's where it gets even more interesting. So those comments yesterday, 105.3 in Dallas. These comments yesterday as well. Adam Schefter podcast, Ty Schmidt asking with Adam, asking these questions about Micah Parsons. Something really interesting came out about this. Ty, of course, the Pat McAfee Show, noon until 3 Eastern on ESPN. And here's what Adam said about the Micah Parsons negotiations.
It's not a negotiation right now. There's really no conversation about getting a deal done. That could change next week. It could change shortly before the season. We've seen how long Dallas sometimes waits on some of these deals. See CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott last season. This sounds different to me. This sounds a little bit more personal from both sides. It sounds like Dallas is upset with the fact that it felt like it was getting closer to a deal, and then that deal went sideways. And I think Micah Parsons feels like this deal should have been done. I don't think Micah is real happy with them. I don't think they're real happy with him. I don't think anybody's real happy with anybody. And I don't think there's a deal that's being discussed right now, not to mention being close.
Very interesting from Shefty's Pod, available wherever you get your podcasts. Adam, of course, joins us every Tuesday, brought to us by ZipRecruiter. Go back on our podcast and listen to it yesterday. Guys, you know that it drives me nuts talking about these contract holdouts because it's not that they're not relevant. It's not that they're not topical. We just know the end result every time. Adam made me just think for a second, maybe we don't know the end result on this one. Like, I think Trey Hendrickson's just going to get done. Everything's going to be fine ultimately. Do we hear this and think a little differently? I want your answers coming up because it factors into what success looks like for the Dallas Cowboys and Brian Schottenheimer in his first year, because if he doesn't have Micah, maybe that win total changes. Any way you cut it, though, people see you're going to be going to Vivid Seats to buy tickets to the Cowboys. We know that. And every other team.
Oh, for sure.